Hi folks, this is Danny at Bradley James Classics, and today's classic is a Morris Minor Traveller from 1969 that's covered just 70,000 miles. Now, the car itself has had a complete ground up restoration that took part back in 2016. I'm happy to say that there's over 150 images of that restoration and detailed invoices totaling just a few £100 off of £30,000, plus of course the price of the initial car itself. And interestingly, before the car was fully restored, it comes with some trophies from where the car had won best in class, etc., at classic car shows as far back as 2009 2010. It has one of those boards that you see propped up against cars at classic car shows, which show the shows it's been involved, and some trophies, etc. Everything comes with a car. It's a nice thing to have. However, the previous owner, he made the decision to have this car completely renovated. He wanted to keep it as standard as possible, but there are a few extras. One of them is quite an obvious extra that you can notice here. It's a period sun visor. It's painted in the same body colour as the rest of the car, which is called Snowberry White. And literally everything that was replaced is nicely detailed on a series of invoices. Car itself drives virtually as new. It still retains the original engine, gearbox, axle. It still has drum brakes and the lever suspension. So in regards to originality, it hasn't been heavily upgraded like a lot of Morris Minors tend to be. However, it does have some extras. Those extras are things like electronic ignition. It has a alternator conversion. It's halogen headlamps, and in fact, if I get in there closely, you can see those are upgraded. It does have a part of its fit out. It's got absolutely beautiful interior, and it's got these reclinable, far more modern seats. I'll show you those. They really are a joy. Can you see how nicely sculpted they are? That makes this car particularly nice and comfortable to sit in. But we're going to come to the interior in a minute. Well, actually, if we're talking about extras, it does have a heated rear windscreen, which is controlled by that switch, and a telltale light. It has an electric temperature gauge. The car does have an electric wash wipe. I think I mentioned the alternator and the electronic ignition. Oh yes, this period visor, which is rather nice, and it's painted in the same shade as the rest of the car, which is called a Snowberry White. Obviously the woodwork is immaculate because that was a part of the restoration, and in fact the 150 images of the restoration will show you in great detail what was done, and then there's some detailed invoices which sort of prove all that work was done and paid for. There's a tow-in bracket, and you will notice that there are some images showing Lottie. You've seen her name, Lottie, with her matching trailer, which was a bespoke trailer which is available as an optional extra should you decide to have a trailer. It may be that you don't want the tow bar, and that can be removed in our workshop, but of course it does make it quite practical if you need to tow a small car. Now, when you spend just under £30,000 restoring a Morris Minor, you will end up with a beautiful, pretty much arrow straight car. Lots of new bits, new panels, and some great door gaps and lines. The car is beautiful. I mean, I can honestly say, from the Morris Minors that we've offered, and as you could imagine, a classic car business like ours has offered a few over the years, it's rare you see something as wonderful as this. And a real strong attempt at originality, albeit we have inertia rear seat belts front and rear. I just happen to notice that you've got the earlier type Morris Minor steering wheel, which almost looks like a new old stock one. That is absolutely mint condition really, and the original one should have been what they called the safety wheel, which was just like a single bar through the middle. It has got electric wash wipe, and this one's actually called the deluxe model. Now, I'm not entirely sure what makes a deluxe, and I know in the older Morris Minors, a deluxe model may have included perhaps leather seats rather than vinyl seats, but to my knowledge, I think these overriders on the front, I seem to remember something to do with overriders and being a deluxe, but don't get too excited by what deluxe may bring you. There's certainly no air conditioning and electric windows in this car, but what there is real attention to detail. The work was carried out by, if not the most well-known Morris Minor specialist in the country, is East Sussex Miners. Now I know that's a company that's well regarded in this space. Let's open this up for you so you can have a little look in the back. There's a heritage certificate, and there's 2 folderfuls of information, and these are the guys, by the way, who make those seats. That's Newton Commercial, and they're called Suffolk recliners. Now let's open up here, and you can see just how good this looks. It all looks like new basically, and it's very good the way that they've managed to get these inertia seat belts working. Just little attention to detail is so good. It's beautiful having all this new wood, and headlining is immaculate, as are the rear seats, and that's the back of those reclining seats. You can see that there's adjustment knobs on the side. It does make a big difference to the comfort, I can tell you. And then everything as it should be. Looking through, there is 2 12-volt auxiliary cable sockets just tucked under the dashboard there. One of the features of the late Morris Minor, even though I think it's a Series 5, they did have an ADO number for the first time. They called this the ADO 059. So a later Morris Minor, things like a dashboard cover on the left-hand side, small features, obviously a nice heater, which actually works pretty well. All this has been tested. We've had the opportunity of having this car up on our ramp, and I can tell you she is a real pleasure to have a look around. She's absolutely rock solid, and all that new metal work is thoroughly undersealed for longevity. Now the bodywork is super straight. It really is ever so nice, and when you really get down into the detail, you'll see that nothing was avoided when it come to the full restoration of this car. So it's a 1098, which was the larger and largest Morris Minor engine that was fitted from the mid-1960s. The gearbox is stronger on the 1098, synchromesh in the higher gears. They can do around 77 miles per hour top speed. I probably wouldn't recommend trying that too often, but the 1098 was an overall more efficient car, and it was quicker. It flies up the hills quite nicely, and therefore at that sort of speed you can expect to keep up with modern traffic quite nicely. They return around 38 miles to the gallon, and this little A series engine, which was fitted in many cars BMC range, is known to be easy to work on, easy to get parts, lots of specialization, and a pretty strong engine. So there is absolutely no reason why this little car won't continue to do many more trouble-free miles. Just out of interest, the Morris Minor ceased being built at Cowley, and when they started to ramp down production, it was the production line that was converted to start to make the Morris Marina. In fact, the very last of the Travellers, I seem to remember them going and being built on the same assembly plant where the vans and the pickups. And you can probably see this sort of line here, right through the middle. If you have a van or if you have the pickup, that's pretty much the area in which that one stops, and they have a different body on the back, so they kind of share a few similarities from that point of view. These cars drive really well, really easy to drive. Despite their age, they actually are a fairly modern drive, easy to drive, and their road presence is wonderful. You will get waves and thumbs up. People seem to love the look of these little Travellers on the road. In regards to a little more information, I've made a few notes of some of these extras, and I hope I've covered them all. I think the obvious ones that we can see are things like that visor. There's nothing that's been fitted that couldn't be taken off, by the way, but I must admit it does add a little extra charm to Lottie. She's particularly lovely under the engine bay as well, and that's where we'll probably be able to see the alternator conversion. Now, I happen to know I need to put my hand underneath the little, I think they call it like a padded safety rail. That's what that is there, and that was added, I think that was an addition of the sort of early 1960s. It's quite an easy bonnet to open with one hand. You just have to push down that guy and she stays up. Now, as you can see, she's as clean as you would expect in the engine bay. Absolutely lovely. It's lovely to see things like rewiring, quality components. You'll see that that's Durit there and here. They make a quality switchgear. Now, you're not going to see the usual control box here because this is the alternator that I mentioned. Electronic ignition, and that's an AccuSpark system, and that's the coil sat down there. And everything, well, the correct colour engine, the numbers are all perfect. It hasn't long had oil, and nice little additions here to make this look really rather new. It's quite a huge Bosch battery there, so it's a heavy duty battery, but I guess when you're operating an alternator and you've got halogen headlamps, all of those things are quite useful. So she's beautiful underneath, so if you went to a classic car show and you decided to show her off with a bonnet open, she would look very good lined up with all the other cars. And just so you can have a look just how clean she is under there, I'll just pan around and show you. An absolute credit. Now, to shut the bonnet on these, you just have to sort of push this hinge forward, and there's a little spring on there, and then we'll let this drop down and push, and then she's clipped back in. So a final little look round this Morris Minor Traveller from 1969, Snowberry white, 70,000 miles, a complete nut and bolt restoration. For anyone who's considering having their Morris Minor converted, I can tell you since 2016, virtually the prices of everything, parts, paint, labour, I'm not actually sure if you would get 2016 prices. So as to whether you could get your existing one rebuilt for £30,000, probably not. My estimate is you would expect to pay potentially 20-25% more than that because of rising prices. So actually this car does represent pretty excellent value compared to either having your own one done or others that are for sale. I've noticed a similar model for sale in the UK that is basically a third more than what we're asking for this car. So I think this will be a dream car for somebody who loves the Morris Minor Traveller, doesn't want any little jobs to do other than get in and enjoy. So I'm going to show you around some of these, the detail of what you get when you have your car restored. The quality of the trim is excellent. these carpets, the way they're fixed down, the little details, they're excellent. These seats are particularly impressive, and I've got to say the comfort from, I'm going to sit in one now actually, when you're behind, these fit in so well and they look really good, and you can see that black interior, they absolutely don't look out of place. Headrest, the Morris Minor, whatever next. And then you've got the plushness of the rear seats, they are excellent. All of the vinyl work, how lovely this headlining is, even the smaller details here, it's all absolutely beautiful. Nice and bright, the dial looks brand new actually. Switch gear really good. I think I mentioned to you there's a couple of those in this day and age. People have their devices that they need to charge up, or sat navs. This is something from the era, these fold out ashtrays. I think in the late 60s, early 70s, there were ashtrays everywhere in cars, of course. A rather smart gaiter down here. It's just such a beautiful car to sit in and drive. Let me give you a little demo. And as you can tell, she is running straight up, a little bit more choke, and off with that ignition line. She's purring. Well, we do offer a full UK delivery service. We can take your existing classic car, modern car, light commercial vehicle in part exchange. We're based in the North Hampshire countryside in Overton, and we have a railway station, which means you can get a train and come and see us, and you can drive this car anywhere you need to go. It's absolutely up together, totally kept in fine fettle, and always starts at the first turn of the key, and it makes it a very easy car to live with. It looks absolutely stunning. She does deserve to live indoors, of course, and that's why she's looked so good. Every aspect of this car is really beautiful. As I say, it does have quite a chunky tow bar fitted on the back, which does of course make it possible to pop on a optional trailer. There is one for sale that can be had with this car. It's a converted trailer to look just like a little Morris Minor trailer. You will see some photographs of that trailer attached to this Morris Minor, so that really does make it super practical. You've got all the space of the back of this car, and then you can also fill up the trailer. So if you did want to go to events, if you did want to go camping, if you're a keen gardener and you need to shift things around, there's no reason why you couldn't use your Morris Minor, the back of the Morris Minor, and if you wanted the optional trailer. So folks, a 1969 Morris Minor Traveller with 70,000 miles, fully nut and bolt restored in 2016. 150 images. You can see that paperwork there. There's 2 folders full of information, and in fact I think I can probably show you. It's all been nicely kept, so the level of detail in here, there we are, there's the back of it off, and there's the new woodwork, stripped down basically to a shell, and this is it building right up with all these new panels. So a totally thorough job, lots of information, really nice to have all of that. Surely one of the nicest available on the market today. Well, thank you very much for watching today's video. If you'd like any more information, please get in contact. I'll be delighted to set up an appointment for you to come and see this Morris Minor. And if you'd like to buy her, we can talk about transportation or any logistics that we can help with. Thank you folks, it's Danny of Bradley James Classics, signing out.